What's going on, guys? Sunday morning. It's 9 o'clock, bright and early. Always want to get the most traffic on these podcasts that I can, so I do them bright and early just so no one joins. We're about 30 seconds in. I got no one joining, but I figure I'd just give you some random Q&A update on a Sunday morning. It is 11:10:19. Had a pretty busy week. Been doing a bunch of different things. I launched that Jenga caster or jazz gaster, whatever the heck you want to call it. And that guitar actually went viral on Reddit. I posted a sort of pictorial build on it on Reddit, and it actually went pretty good. It got like 3,800 upvotes. I posted it on Friday or Thursday, and then it went up through Friday, so that was actually pretty good. What's up, Dan? Dad and Dax, what's going on? A couple guys joining us now. 12 more of you guys are up this morning than I thought. But that guitar went pretty well, so I was pretty happy that I got as many upvotes. It did pretty well on YouTube as well. It didn't go viral. Not seeing any video. Can you guys see me here? Can you hear me? Can you see me? We're a minute in. Do I have to restart? Todd, you can see me. Okay, it's working. All right. Sorry, I always have to check. Someone wants to see the Serotonin already. I'll get that out. It's actually sitting right here. That is for sale on my eBay channel, eBay store, I guess. If you guys are looking for some projects, I've got a whole bunch of stuff listed on my eBay store. I'll be putting more stuff up there. I just got too much stuff I'm sitting on, and I'm listing everything at a penny. And when it goes, it goes. I've got other stuff I'm listing as well. So for me, it's time to just clear out the shop. The biggest thing I'm listing so far is the Serotonin, which is this thing. It's like 500 pounds. This is my holy grail amp. And I don't want to get rid of it, but it's worth too much money to sit on. And I just got way too many bills to pay coming up here, and it was time to go. Plus, I've got my 4 amps coming from the Julian auction that I was talking about maybe about 5 or 6 weeks ago. I bought a bunch of amps from Steely Dan, and one of the amps I got an incredible deal on, and that sort of is paying for everything if I ever choose to sell it. I got an AC30 hand-wired, paid like $900 for it. It's a $2,700 amp with Celestion greenbacks, which are the awesomest speakers of all time. Gene, I don't know if I can pick this thing up again. Plus, I'm in shorts, so I'll blow my cover here. But it is all original tubes. I don't know who made it. That was the big question on eBay so far, is who made the amp. It looks like Nick made it. It looks like a Pro. Some of the Tolex is peeling off a little bit, but it doesn't look bad. And I wasn't going to take it out of the case and do pictures and all that. It is what it is. So we'll see how that goes. But yeah, if you guys check out my eBay store, I'll still have more stuff going up there. I've got to post a Walla Walla Paisley guitar that is a poplar body that I guess they were testing when they got their laser engraver. I had 2 of them. I made a guitar with one of them. I'll put that body up. My eBay store is Big D Guitars. I think it's BigD_guitars. I need to do an enemies video at some point here in the future. I used to have an awesome eBay store, and then some D-bag decided to kill everyone who was selling templates. Didn't really understand how that happened, but I do have a couple enemies out there, one being a certain other builder who claimed to have owned Tele templates, which drove me nuts. So yeah, it's BigD_guitars is my auction site. I'll put that in the link. I sold my Shark, my Ormsby Shark guitar that I did a review on. I sold a Joe Pass Epiphone, and then I sold that Made in Japan Les Paul, and then I've got some of my other builds myself that I'll be selling. Just too much stuff I'm sitting on. So what did I want to talk about? I had 2 questions posted on the community page. So when I go live, I usually post a couple questions like, hey, I'm going to go live tomorrow. What are you guys looking for? One of them was like, let's do a tool talk. And that's hard to do in the shop. I don't get good Wi-Fi down there. But I think I might be able to do it once the kids go to bed one night. I might do a live video next week, not this week, down there. Might have some time to do that. I could just walk through the tools. And another question was on router bits. And the router bits, or not router bits, but the question was on binding and router bits. And that one is always interesting because you have to get the binding bits to match up with the binding that you're purchasing. And very few companies actually sell that of the same size other than Stu Mac. So most of my binding stuff comes from Stu Mac. That is really important to do, or you're going to be scraping like I am. I do buy a lot of binding from AliExpress or eBay. And then the trick that I do is I double layer tape on the body to get the thickness with the bit. Usually 2 pieces of blue tape kind of bump you out just enough to get some of that weird size binding to fit. The Stu Mac binding bits are in American standard sizing, and most of the stuff from AliExpress is China sized. So you've got to go back and forth. So that's the binding question answered. I would go with the Stu Mac set. I do have a 1/2-inch bit from Amazon, like a rabbiting bit that has a whole bunch of different sizes that I've used, because they have a 1/8 bit, and I can buy 1/8 sized wood or sand it on my sander. And I've done that with another bit. But for the most part, if you're doing binding, use the Stu Mac set. It just makes sense. I'm on my 3rd Stu Mac bit already, and I'll just keep using it because that's where I get most of my binding. All right, so a couple questions coming up. Let's see, 15 of you guys, 2 thumbs up. eBay store name. Kat is asking, what's the favorite build that I've done? All of them. I love all my guitars. I think my favorite guitar is one I don't show enough. I don't know why, but it's my Corinna Flying V. It's sitting over here. I think this is my favorite. Justin did a video of this guitar when he came out to my shop, and he played a song on it that I've posted a couple times on YouTube. And this is probably my best sounding guitar. It's a Corinna. It's one of the light. So I bought, I've bought probably 3,000 board feet of Corinna over the years. I buy them in like 500 to 1,000 foot batches. This was from the first batch. This must be 10 or 11 years old. This is before I really got doing some of the YouTube videos. And this is a lightweight piece of Corinna. And then it's African Blackwood fretboard, which is awesome. African Blackwood is my favorite wood by far. And I built this as a neck through. So you can see, where did I glue on the wings? The wings run here. And I offset the neck off of the body by about, I don't know, 1/4 inch there. And this thing sounds awesome. This is probably my favorite guitar. It sounds awesome acoustically, which is really the biggest thing when building a guitar. If it sounds good acoustically, it's going to sound awesome through an amp. We don't have to have a tone wood debate here at all, but I'm just saying, if you play it and it feels alive, when you plug it in, it'll sound even better. But this is probably my favorite build. I do have a couple LP builds in the basement that I like. One for my daughter. It's got a burl top that I stain, and then it's got a nice dome on it. But I come back to this one. I also like the mango guitar I did a while back. And I'm starting to actually really like the glitter guitar. That one is, I don't know, it's just different. I like all my guitars. That's why I continue to do this. All right, a couple more questions. So what are the tools that we should be buying to get started? I need to do a video on this. I haven't done that. I actually have a whole bunch of videos coming up. I did another paint dump for Brad on a canvas. I'm probably going to post that tomorrow. It's Mondays are days for me anyway, so it's fun. I know not everyone's going to like it, but me and Brad are having some camaraderie between ourselves. But basic tools are a bandsaw. I did a review of a Craftsman 10-inch bandsaw. That's one of the tools you need. And then Craftsman table router. And I use those all the time, nonstop. You can buy a lot of pre-sized tops from Kimball Hardwoods. That's where I get most of my wood. And he's got 1/4-inch pieces that you can glue together. What you can do is actually get like an 8/4 piece of wood, glue it on, and then you can shave the neck to get it to the right size and just have a thicker body. And you can just start building. I always get the question between kits and building, and there are some tricks you could do to use full-size pieces of wood and still get them to sort of feel and play. So you really need a bandsaw, a little bandsaw, and a router, and then you can build a table router and then use that same router, pull it off the table and route with it off the top. And then from there, you'll just continue to get going, buying more tools. But my two biggest tools are the Craftsman 10-inch bandsaw and then the Craftsman table router. And that's what I go back and forth through a lot. And then after that, I think you'd step up to a rigid oscillating sander to do the sanding of the sides. And then from there, it's like, what do you want to get into? If you just want to build bodies, you're pretty good there. If you want to start building necks, that becomes a lot more tool intensive in terms of fret press and fret dressing and fret nuts and all that stuff. So, all right, more questions. Avi, what's up, buddy? You made it on. Prevent blotchiness when staining a body. Yeah, I've got a video on that too. It's actually sitting on the computer here. You got to do a mist coat of sanding sealer to let that color lock in, and then you put your color on top of that. I'll do that video here shortly because I get that question a lot. That's like one of my top 10 questions. Since I do so many staining videos, I need to post that follow-up. So I'll do that. All right, Addicted to Gear had a bunch of questions here. Do you make your own necks or buy them? Do you have any sources for affordable, good quality necks? That's a great question. I do make a lot of my own necks. And then I also buy some necks from WD. They probably have the best necks out there. Like the Mighty Mite stuff. They require a bunch of work though. So you're going to have to clean up the frets. And the big thing with the China guitar necks is that the wood is usually wet. You've got to let that wood dry for a while, and then you got to sort of replay with the frets. The reason why China puts out so much stuff so quickly is that the wood that they're usually working with is a little bit wet. It's not dried to 5% humidity. It's usually like 10 to 12. They like to push their stuff through, and sometimes the necks will warp or the wood sort of shrinks, and you got to play with the frets. So I have a bunch of those necks that I just let sit in the shop when I'm doing one-offs or something I just want to throw something on for a build. The WD stuff is actually pretty good. Pickups, I put a ton of different pickups in my guitars. I wind my own, which I have two pickups I make for the Whiskey Barrel guitars, which is the Telly neck and then the Telly bridge, or humbucker neck and a Telly bridge. And I wound those to specific sort of research settings for Justin and myself. I wanted a hotter PAF. And so it's about 5,500 winds on the bobbins and then about 8,000 on the bridge. And I knew that from some trial and error. So I'll wind my own for the Whiskey Barrel guitars. And then everything else is sort of a crapshoot. I do now have a liking for the Kent Armstrong hand-wired stuff. Those I really enjoy. That's what I put in the flippy guitar. And then if I have to go with another set, like the Lindy Fralin Strat pickups are outstanding. The Jason Lawler humbuckers are outstanding. I'll buy Lace. Lace gave me an OEM deal, so I can buy stuff from Lace. I do love a lot of their stuff as well. So that's sort of a couple nuggets on necks and pickups. Other question is then, can you do a video on making your own router templates? I do have a video out there on that. I made a Blues Hawk with templates. I did, I think, an Iceman, making an Iceman guitar. I'll post that in the link below. I did the template there. It's just not new and fresh. Guys, I've got like 500 videos out there on everything. So if you search through my videos on like making a template or whatever, I've already done most of that work. So if you take a look, you can see me making some templates. What I'll do is find the plans online. I'll glue them down with some glue on a like 1/4-inch piece of melamine or particle board or something. I'll cut it out with the bandsaw, and then I'll either hand sand it or take it to the rigid sander and then do some of the routing from other templates I've got. So I have every template I need, so I don't make them anymore. But take a look for, I think it's the Iceman guitar. I built that template myself. Let's see. Another question, how many hours do you need to finish a build guitar from A to Z? So I'm not full-time, and I probably take a way lot longer than other guys. If I was full-time, I think I could get a guitar done in a week, not including spraying. Maybe a little bit less depending on how much time. If I am just building for myself, usually a guitar will take about a month to 2, depending on how much time I go at it. I only get like maybe 4 hours on the weekend, and then I get about 30 minutes to an hour every day, depending on what's going on. So I've got to pick and choose what I can do. That's also why I got a little bit more tools than what you need, because I have limited time. So I want to be able to just do it and go. But I think 2 months, start to finish, is usually pretty good. If you do an hour or 2 a day, if you got more than that, you can really chunk out some huge bits and pieces. All right. Avi's asking a question. Wanted to ask something forever, but never got a chance. Why is set neck much more expensive than a bolt-on? Is it that much more work? Yeah, definitely. Set necks require, I think when you first build your set neck, that's when you can call yourself a luthier. That's what I had in my head. A set neck requires more tools and a little bit more precision, because you can build a neck by itself off on the side, but if you're going to have the neck set, you've kind of got to have it all laid out. And so I remember with this guitar, I had to have it all laid out along the center line, and this was a neck through, and I glued on the wings. That's probably the easiest set neck, is the neck through. But like if you look at a Les Paul or some other guitars like that, that tenon and that channel just require more precision, and you got less sort of room for error. So that's it's just more work, to be quite honest. It requires cutting that tenon and getting that to line up just as a skill in itself. All right, so that's another one. Are there any alternatives to the high-priced nut files? From Bobby, no, there's not. That's the one crutch of building necks, is the nut files. I have the torch cleaning tips, and they suck. I've gone through like 3 sets of those, and they don't work. I actually bought the StewMac set of files, and then I bought the Hasco set of files as well. There's nothing around it. You know, you've got, I think I got like $350 or $400 in those, but there's nothing as good. That precision that those Japanese make on those files are awesome. I've seen guys make nuts with the like a really thin file that you can slot nuts with. It's not exactly perfect, but I've seen guys use those. That's one of the sort of things you can do with that in terms of alternative nuts is V or sort of triangle file. And then if you go, I think it's like a set of 16. I have 2 sets of those. So that's the nut question. What do you think of light boxes for aging? This is a plant. I know you. I need to do an update on that light box kit. We ran into some issues with the light box. Do not throw too many guitars in the light box. It actually generates a lot more heat than you would think. And the glue that I use shrank and it got a little bit of a mess on our hands. So there's a gold top I've been working on for a certain someone who posted that question. And I have a significant apology to do there as well. Now, no more planted questions here, Kevin. You're going to throw me off. Yeah, the light box that I bought, I actually have 2 of them. They are really good for aging the wood and darkening it up. But for finished guitars, you got to be a little bit careful. All right. What else we got here? I need to make a headless style guitar one day. Yeah, that's on my list. I just haven't gotten there. Too many other builds I've been playing with. I don't really like the headless guitar, to be quite honest. I just haven't gotten there. I got a lot more guys this morning than previously. Lots of questions. Are any of the Chinese guitar kits getting better? Some are. The Solo Music Gear stuff is actually pretty good. That's the SG kit that Brad and I built. Those aren't bad. I actually was pretty happy with the fretwork, and I really don't have to do that much cleanup. So those are actually pretty good. Any news on the Dragon's Breath? I'm not sure I'm allowed to speak the 3 letters from the Dragon's Breath. I'm waiting for clearance on that guitar specifically. If you guys are really into my channel, you will see a bunch of videos disappeared. And if you follow me on Instagram, a bunch of pics disappeared. So I'm trying to figure something out with my lawyer, and I'll just leave it at that. I'm not going to comment, but if you look through my videos of V, you'll see something have disappeared. And I think it was interesting. The Guitar World thing was awesome, and it was really cool. And I actually got confirmation that I'll be in print in a couple magazines actually coming up with the Whiskey Barrel guitars. But with that, with great fame comes great misfortune as well. So I got in a little bit of trouble with another company, and I had to sort of remove stuff. So the Dragon's Breath is on hold for a little bit until we clear some of that up. Let's see. Any news about the shark fin inner binding? I don't know what you mean, Avi. Put more out there. Would you use black walnut Fender? Hold on, I got another question here. Would you use black walnut Fender style necks? I have some. Yeah, I have. I sold that. I finally got rid of the walnut guitar I had sitting here. I quilted walnut body, and then I had a walnut neck, and that sold to a buddy of mine finally. Someone was saying in some forums that walnut is not an ideal wood for necks, and I never understood that. I've used it a couple times. Didn't have any issues with it. But I love walnut. Hold on, I'm trying to read this. Perfect size wood and a CNC to cut. I'm only using my CNC machine for like fine detail work, but that takes a while. I actually got a commission that you guys will see coming up on the CNC. I got a bunch of stuff to show. I got to figure out how to do it first. But that's one that's coming here shortly. It's a Whiskey Barrel guitar that a buddy of mine is purchasing for another buddy. And I'll get you more details once it's all done and presented. So we'll just leave it at that. All right. Do you cut your thick woods to Butchmack? I can't speak this morning. Kevin asked, do you take thicker woods and cut them up to make book match tops? I do that. I have the Laguna 16 HD bandsaw that I bought specifically to I can't say it this morning, to cut my own tops, and I've had that for years. That was one of the reasons I bought that Laguna. Is I buy a lot of wood. I would cut some tops up, sell half, and keep half for myself. And that was how I would pay for the machine and pay for the wood. I sort of stopped doing that because I found Kimball Hardwoods has the best woods, and he already has the right sizing. So I don't need to use that resawing as much. I'll resaw to sort of resize lumber here and there, but I'm not doing as much resawing with quality woods. I don't need to. So, all right, ambrosia maple on the walnut. I don't know if you want to do that, to be quite honest. That ambrosia maple is usually a little bit softer. That's like a soft for a fretboard. I don't know if you want to do that. Kevin and I used that really heavily flamed maple on this guitar. Oh, this is softer. This is soft maple. It's got an incredible figure, but this is soft maple that I don't think the tone out of this neck, it's not as bright as we want it to be. We didn't like it all that much. And this was soft maple. It looks beautiful, but I don't know if I would use that for a fretboard. It just didn't get the response that I like out of it. I like sort of a harder fretboard material, and I didn't like this soft maple. I'm not sure I would use soft maple for that. All right. What else we got, guys? We've been on 26 minutes. We've had a bunch of random questions, and Kevin giving me some grief. What else? I actually got to go pick up my daughter from a sleepover, so that's one of the things we'll be doing today. I don't have anything up here. The double neck will be done shortly. We'll be doing a video of that as well. Oh, I do have one more thing. I think I'll talk about them next week, but I got a specific video on them. I made some Kent Armstrong pickup mounts for the lipstick pickups. I have a whole video on that coming. We used Faro guitars to make me some mounting clips. Kent and I have been working on a couple projects, and I needed to flat mount those versus direct mount. I don't like that look. I don't like that feel. So I will show that video coming up shortly. So what else we got? Do a swirl over flame maple. Yeah, we thought about doing that. Haven't gotten there yet. Swirling for me, I don't know. I'm not sure if I'll be doing much painting anymore. That dump for Brad didn't go over all that well. So I do have a dump for Brad canvas I'll be posting tomorrow. That's just a little bit of back and forth between me and him still. Mondays are slow guitar video days, so I'm going to post it anyway. This is the best question of the day. What's the secret to keeping your wife off your back while spending so much time guitar building? Buy her a lot of expensive gifts and make money off guitars. Once I sold a bunch of Whiskey Barrel guitars, I bought her a really, really, really expensive piece of jewelry, and she sort of got off my back. But that was 20 years in the making. Earlier in our marriage, I spent way too much time in the basement, and she was not happy with that. I have I'm not going to say the name. I have a specific guitar that I was working on that I call my divorce guitar, that if I think I finished it, I wanted to get something done quickly, and was with a burl top and a wax, and it wasn't going well, and I was spending way too much time down the basement, like multiple hours a day. She was unhappy, rightfully so, and I call it like my divorce guitar, because I realized I was spending too much time away from the guitars and not enough time with her. So there's a balance for sure, and once I sort of made enough money with the Whiskey Barrel guitars, I treated her to something that she had wanted. So that's how I keep my wife off my back now for at least a little bit. All right, so a couple more questions. We're going to end this here probably in about 5 minutes. Let's see. I have some bird's eye with really hard maple I can use in braces of a 100-year-old piano. the Frugal Fixer Spike. This is complicated. Hold on, let me read this. I have some Bird's Eye, hard maple, and bracing out of 100. Either maple of something. The old pianos are usually made out of maple. Sometimes they're made out of mahogany. My aunt has a $30,000 piano made out of mahogany, African mahogany. It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. She's been playing piano forever, and that was her big splurge once she retired. And it's amazing. I don't even remember what it's called, but it's an amazing piano. The old pianos usually are made out of maple. That was what was around. Do you use carbon fiber in the necks to prevent warping and add strength? I do. This one has the fiber rods for strength since it was soft maple. I don't remember if this V has carbon fiber strips. It might, but if I'm looking at 1, 2, 3, 3 of my necks up here have carbon fiber. I usually use that. It's important to do that. All right, what else? What is better? Can you use end cutting pliers to take off the fret nibs? For what? Bobby, what do you mean? You can use, like, on a Les Paul style neck. What do you mean by the nibs? I have a whole video on how to do the nibs. Is roasted maple better than traditional dried maple? That's just different. It depends on what you're looking for. Roasted maple is essentially maple that's just dried out and burnt to a crisp. And we've got a visitor here. I'll be done in 2 minutes.
Can I actually make us hot chocolate?
Yes, go away. We have hot chocolate order here now. Roasted maple is just different than traditional maple. And I like roasted maple because essentially what it is, it's just dried out and harder. It's a little bit more lively. If you're playing a lot of old acoustic guitars, that's essentially what roasted maple is. It's the wood dried out for a long time. And I like roasted maple just slightly different than traditional maple. This is a roasted maple top. This is the guitar that was supposed to give me a bunch of street cred, being from Chicago and using CNC inlay. But this is a roasted maple top on a swamp ash back. And it's just, I don't know. I like the look. The color darkens up a lot. It looks cool. So we got 2 more minutes here. I'm going to try and jumble some words again on some of these questions. Instead of buying the fret nibbler, Bobby, I still don't know what you mean. Send me an email. What I do is I cut the fret. I take it over to my sander. I sand the edge. I plop it in, and then I only have to file it on one side. That's how I've been doing my fretting. Do you hand draw your guitar plans? No, I hand draw my guitar plans. I have easel from Inventables, and I will do some modification in there. I have one body that I'm working on, but for the most part, I hand draw everything. And if I can't hand draw it, I don't know the tools well enough to do CAD. That's not my thing. Free pianos are everywhere. You have to cut them up. Some are maple, some are mahogany. Yeah, the one thing about some of the older cheap pianos is there will be poplar in there. I do know that. And then they also used some weird size plywood. I have noticed that. But those are some of like the cheaper 80s pianos. If you go with the older piano from like the 20s and 30s, that'll definitely have solid wood. And most likely that solid wood will be maple because that was what was available. Just use fret cutter end cutters to take off the fret nibs for a binding neck. Yeah, you can do that. I bought the binding bit for the nibs, and I take off the nib with a router bit, but you can cut them or file them. The Les Paul Restore vid that I'm putting back out there here shortly, I did it all by hand with files. It took a while, but it's perfect. All right, last question here. I'm trying to get into winding pickups. What winder to use? And do you have any tips? I've watched your videos on the strap pickups. Are very helpful. Yeah, I wind my own pickups still. I use that sewing machine kit, and I don't need anything more than that sort of DIY home built kit. I haven't upgraded. A lot of guys do, but I haven't done that. Greetings, I am. So that was the pickup questions. Greetings, I'm building a couple Strat style guitars, one with Bowkite neck, one with Cocobolo. What neck would you suggest as a finish? The Bowkite is kind of waxy. Yeah, I've used both of those. I don't have the blue Telly anymore or the blue DC. I use Cocobolo for the full neck. I love that wood. All you gotta do is wipe it down with acetone before you glue up the fretboard to the neck. You should be good. Either of those I like. Cocobolo, I'm not sure that's a great neck wood. The Bowkite's a good neck wood. It's got a nice feel. Just before you glue on, I would probably do a Cocobolo fretboard and then a Bowkite neck. That might be better. Have you tried Sugi Ban on burning your builds? I do that with the whiskey barrel guitars now. That's something I've been doing for a while. Instead of using the vinegar and tea steel oil trick, I burn the sides on the whiskey barrels. I get a much better finish. Hey, can you just give me two minutes? You're on the camera and it's kind of just distracting. All right, I gotta go. We got a lurker here. Will Wingy, couple questions. I'll answer these last set of questions and I gotta run. Will Wingy take True Oil or is it too dense? No, you can put True Oil on Wingy. Wingy, whatever. You don't really need to put any finish on it. That Telly neck I've got downstairs is Wingy without a finish on it. I don't think you need to do anything with it. You could. Where'd you get parts for pickup hardware, flatware magnets? Thanks. And I have a source for pickup magnets that has all the same place Fender uses, and I also know where the Gibson magnets come from. If you send me an email, I will post those to you guys. I'll share. I've even got on my site, on my website, I've got some Fender new old stock pickup magnets. Those are my secret, from my secret supplier. I've got some old stuff from the old sort of Fender 90s stuff. If you're Cocobolo and Bocati, I cannot speak this morning, which is sort of being a problem. Sorry, guys. I think you have, you can use like a sort of a light oil finish, or you don't have to do any finish on those. It's got like a waxy finish. I wouldn't put a finish on them. You want a hot chocolate too? I know. I think I'm going for the hot chocolate here. All right. I think I got most of your questions done. I did not have a great day speaking here. Sorry. If you have additional follow-up questions, just shoot me an email. I'll send it back to you guys. For some reason, my mouth was not working this morning, but we gave you 40 minutes. I think I answered some of your questions. Let's see. Anything else did I miss? Thanks for the nice comments, guys. And always like doing these. I think now through Christmas, I'll be doing these weekly. I'm trying to get into the YouTube algorithm. And from all of my research, I have to go live at least once a week and post 2 additional videos as well. So I'm going to try and do that because Christmas time ad rates go up significantly and I can make a little bit more money. So if you have questions, just know I'll be doing live videos most of the mornings. I'm trying to do some more of the Luthier interviews, but I'm struggling to do those with my other job. I don't have as much time, got too much stuff going on. So, all right, stop smelling Polly before these shows and gets a pat. No pats. No, we're not putting on pat stuff. Don't go there, Scott. I was routing a whiskey barrel guitar. Maybe that's what threw me off here. I didn't drink last night. So, all right, guys, I'm out. I got to do hot chocolate and watch the Bears lose, I think. Are the Bears playing today at noon? Yeah, I got to watch the Bears at least lose. I did go to the Purdue Northwestern game yesterday to win, so that was fun. That was kind of nice to see. All right, guys, I'm out. Have a good week. You can watch my dump video at Brad tomorrow, and we'll chat later. See ya.